a friend in me.
All right, Geek Corner, yay!
Yay!
Forgot Zoom started right away. There was no like, hey, here we go. It's been like 2 months since Geek Corner.
It's been a while. How you been?
I'm good. Brad started to like talk to me about Marvel, so that was my fix.
That's good. Yeah, it's not that I didn't want to chat about it. It's just I just knew that Falcon Winter Soldier was only going to be about 6 weeks, and I had a lot of other stuff going on, so it just made it easier just to kind of have this conversation at the end of the show. So, but now, yeah, a lot's happened, and there's plenty we can talk about. What'd you think of the show? Did you enjoy it?
I loved it, and Brad made a good point to me. He's like, WandaVision, there was a lot of, we talked about, there was a lot of rumors, there was a lot of these theories. Falcon, you could kind of shut your brain down
Yeah.
and just watch it. Now there were like, oh, this is going to happen or this, and that was it. There was no like staying up till 2 a.m. Googling stuff like, what about this? What about this? Where's Benedict Cumberbatch? Like, I need this. It was a movie. It was a Captain America movie, and it was just like I could shut my brain off.
Yeah.
And I liked Zemo. Like, I didn't know I was going to like him. I was like, oh, he grew on me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I enjoyed it, and yeah, as you said, it wasn't the same type of show where I didn't do it intentionally. For WandaVision, I was so deep into the rumors and the speculation and to what does this mean and where's Mephisto, and like I was so deep into that. I intentionally stayed back in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but as you said, I just don't think there was as much to it when it comes to that stuff. This show was very straightforward. Mm-hmm. I loved WandaVision. I think overall WandaVision might have been a little better than Falcon Winter Soldier even. But they're two very different types of shows. And Falcon Winter Soldier was very straightforward Marvel action. I mean, it fell in line with the Captain America movies. I mean, that's what it was. It felt like Winter Soldier. It felt like Civil War. Mm-hmm. It was mostly characters we were familiar with. Whereas WandaVision was pretty much just Wanda and Vision, and then all these new people. We knew Zemo, we knew Sharon Carter. So we knew some of these characters. Yes, they introduced new ones to us, but it was just a very straightforward Marvel action show, and I thought that was great. I was so almost fatigued from the 9-week arc of, or whatever it was, of WandaVision, just getting so deep into those rumors and everything, that it was nice to just watch this show and just watch it. And as I said, I intentionally didn't get involved in that, but there wasn't that much to speculate on. There wasn't any big tease about, there's going to be this big appearance. Who's it going to be? Yes, we did start to get that a little bit when we found out. Obviously, spoilers are going to be here. When we got, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Val. Don't call me Val. I don't know much about her in terms of the comics, but I have, read and watched a little bit. But there wasn't the big Paul Bettany tease where, there's this big cameo, somebody I've always wanted to work with. Asshole, you were talking about yourself. We didn't get that, so there was, the big talk about who's the power broker going to be. Wasn't really a shock when it turned out to be her. I don't think that's over, because obviously she was talking to somebody on the phone. And I watched somebody, I don't know if you watch any of the, people that recap this stuff on YouTube, but the Heavy Spoilers show. He's a guy that, recaps all the episodes and talks about, and he made a really good point. He said that the timeline doesn't really add up to her being the sole power broker, because Zemo was talking about that he knew this person and he referred to it as a guy, and that he knew this person before the events of Civil War, which really wouldn't match up to it being Sharon Carter. So I don't know. As I said, I just don't think that necessarily. I don't think that storyline is over. But I thought it was great. I thought that we got plenty of action. You got this new character of John Walker Do we like him? Do we hate him? Is he a villain? Is he a good guy? And we're setting up now, and obviously I'm just covering a lot of ground in this little spiel. I'm sure certain things that we'll talk about, but we're setting up this new team of, what are we going to call them? Is this going to be the Thunderbolts? Is this going to be whoever? So a lot happened in those 6 episodes. It wasn't perfect. There was definitely some moments. There was some questionable writing at times, but I think overall I was pleased with how the show went.
You could tell which was filmed before COVID and after.
Yeah, there was some of that. Yeah.
And it was mixed in. It wasn't like, these last 2 were COVID. They mixed it in.
Yeah.
Which part was supposed to be Black Widow? Because I was trying to watch. That was the only part I was like watching. Because remember Black Widow was supposed to come out. Then like there's going to be some connection.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know. Obviously, things have changed. I would venture to guess that they had to go in and do something to alter it so that it made sense that we haven't seen Black Widow yet. The rumor I've seen is that Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character is in Black Widow to some degree. So there might have been something involved with her. I don't know. I obviously we haven't seen Black Widow. We still won't see that now for a few months. I don't know how it's all going to tie in. But the other thing too is that Black Widow, it's not like it takes place like right before or right after. I mean, we're talking Black Widow takes place, several years ahead in the MCU timeline. Not only in terms of like movie years, but also we're 5 years later technically because this is after Endgame. So we're talking, probably close to 10 years gap, or at least like 7 or 8 between the events of these 2 movies. So, or this movie and TV show. So I don't know specifically what's going to tie into where. All I have is rumors and speculation, just like anybody else. But yeah, obviously there's going to be some things that are directly related between the 2 movies. I think that's pretty much a guarantee at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a rumor that I missed. I wasn't too invested in the rumors. I would be like 2 days later, like, I wonder about this.
Not really. Other than that, her character, I think, is also supposedly in it too. I don't know if that's confirmed, but that's one rumor.
And then I love the Wakanda tie-in. It's like,
yeah,
I forgot Bucky stayed there.
Yeah,
that slips my mind. So when they showed up at the end, I was like, could Bucky fill into the Black Panther movie?
Yeah, I wondered about that too, especially when she called him the White Wolf. I thought it was weird that they still referred to him as the Winter Soldier after that. I thought that was going to be like we're officially changing his name, because the Winter Soldier, was the evil. I mean, that was his bad guy persona basically when he was, working for Hydra and all that stuff. So I thought maybe, but they still referred to him as their Winter Soldier. And then at the end, the post, the title card comes up. I thought maybe there were when that said Captain America and Winter Soldier and not Captain America and White Wolf. Obviously, we knew that was going to be a change. But yeah, I thought maybe because there's been talk, what are they going to do with Black Panther, and obviously Bucky Barnes is not going to be. He's not going to be the main focus of Black Panther. That was never going to be the case. But I always thought that he could be somebody who could play a role in that movie, just to bring in from the rest of the MCU, just because he does have those ties. But I don't think we're heading that direction. Sounds to me like he will be part. They will be in Captain America 4. That's what the report is now, that they've already started working on Captain America 4, and it will star Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. So I'm gonna guess that's the next time you see them. I don't think we'll see. He might show up in Black Panther, and as you said, I did like the Wakanda tie-in, and I liked it. They were the ones that brought the suit and everything, and what's in the box. I mean, everybody kind of assumed it. Obviously, it was his suit, but he at least had that cliffhanger ending. What's in the box, but. I love the suit. I was really digging that with the wings and everything, and I like Sam being Captain America. I really do, and I was hesitant at first. Obviously, going into Endgame, which 2 years ago today, Endgame came out. And I wasn't sure where they were going to go with that. Are they going to give it to Sam? Are they going to give it to Bucky? And then you bring in John Walker, and there's all this stuff. But I really like Sam as Captain America. I think that was one of the show's strengths, was his arc to that point. You know, there was some bumps along the way, but his story, you know, to basically giving the shield away because he didn't want it, to, you know, deciding at the end that he was the right person to take over for Steve Rogers and everything. I was digging that. But yeah, I love the Wakanda tie-in too, for sure.
And I hated John Walker, and even at the end, I was that guy.
Yeah, no.
Screw this guy.
Yeah, no, he's not supposed to be a lovable character. I mean, obviously he did at the end, you know, kind of turn back to the good side. I don't think that. I think what you're going to see, and the way I understand it is, if they do call them the Thunderbolts or whatever they are, whatever they're going to call that new group of Avengers they're building, they're not necessarily bad guys. They just have different motives.
Mm-hmm.
They just have, it's kind of like the Flag Smashers.
Uh-huh.
They weren't bad guys. They weren't villains. But they had a good head on their shoulders. They were in the right place. They were just going about it the wrong way. Kind of like Thanos, if I'm being honest. I mean, yes, obviously Thanos was the big bad villain, but he wasn't his ideas weren't that wrong. You know, we were an overpopulated place, but it was just kind of his ways to going about it. So I think what I'm getting at is that, yes, John Walker is not really a good person, and he has a lot of issues, but I don't necessarily think they're going to be bad guys. And they're obviously going to be the villains whenever we get to that point. Who knows how many years down the road. But are they bad people altogether? Are they after bad things? I don't know. That's probably not how it's going to be. I didn't love him either, obviously. But I liked Wyatt Russell in the role. I thought he was strong, you know, playing the character. And it was good to see him there. I just think it's funny because they bring him in, and his dad is Kurt Russell, who played Ego in Guardians 2, who was the father of Chris Pratt. So is Star-Lord John Walker's brother? Like, that's what I want to know. Like,
or is it
Star-Lord? Yes. Yes. Good call. Good call. That's awesome.
Like, which one is it?
Is Peter Quill Charlie from the Santa Claus?
I mean, probably.
Because their dad is Santa Claus? Okay, all right.
Now it's multiverse. He's come back from the Tim Allen one.
We're going, yeah, okay. We're going way too far down this rabbit hole. But yeah, no, he was, I thought he was fine. I thought he was good in the role. I liked Wyatt Russell there. I personally thought it was kind of cool that he kind of worked with them at the end, you know, to get at what they were trying to do. Because I don't think he was ever necessarily against them. He wasn't trying to work against Bucky and Sam. That was never his goal. He wanted to be Captain America. He thought he was Captain America. He had a little bit of an evil streak, and when he finally took the serum, he went about some things the wrong way, acted out of anger, and killed somebody that he probably didn't need to kill. But I mean, whatever. We haven't seen the last of him for sure.
No, at the beginning I was like, oh, he's not a bad guy, but he's just like, I'm Captain America, and it's like, you don't say that to Bucky and Sam. You could say that to other people, but you gotta realize who you're pissing off.
Yeah.
And then that serum, I kept researching, like, it's supposed to show who you are. So, like, when Steve Rogers takes it, he's Captain America. He's this whatever. When he takes it, he has that side. Is it the Thunderbolts or is it like Dark Avengers? Someone said Dark Avengers could be set up. Yeah,
Dark Avengers and Thunderbolts, yeah.
And then Young Avengers supposed to get set up in Ant-Man 3 as well.
We could be starting to see that too. There's talks that we might be seeing that. I mean, we've already started to see, you know, possible. They always do that. They always tease, you know, certain people, like, you know, Spider-Man Donald Glover comes in for a little bit, and that character's nephew is supposed to be Miles Morales. So, they're always teasing that kind of stuff. Whether or not we see any of it, who knows? But I mean, Marvel's not really slowing down anytime soon. So I think we talked about it the last time, or I don't remember when it was, but I don't know when we'll see another Avengers movie. I think we're a ways away from that. It's obviously not going to be in this whatever phase they're working on now, and they have about 20 movies lined up, 20 movies and TV shows. We will get that eventually. I don't know who all it's going to entail, because by that point there's going to be 1,000 different members of the Avengers. So we'll just have to see.
Well, COVID ruined it, and then I think you're just going to see characters in different movies. They're going to be Civil War. It's going to be like Wanda and Benedict Cumberbatch and Doctor Strange, but he's going to have some villains. Then you're going to see Loki's going to pop up somewhere.
Well, I mean, that's always, I mean, that's how they've been doing it. I mean, some of their best movies, Thor Ragnarok was almost just as much of a Hulk movie as it was a Thor movie, and Civil War was just as much of an Iron Man movie as it was a Captain America movie. They're going to keep doing that. That's what works. They have all these big actors, and they have all these, famous characters now, and they're just going to keep building on it for sure.
One thing I thought was, ever since you brought up what happened in that 5 years of the snap, and we've slowly seen it in WandaVision, this one really showed.
Yeah.
And I think I talked to Brad about, like, when he went to the bank for the loan, that was like the first thing of like, oh, you guys come back and now we have no money. So like what Brad's always like, Thanos was right. Just snap and get rid of half the people. Like, he's right.
Yeah.
And so they're tapping into that. Like, was he actually right?
Yeah, that's really what this show was really about, was, the ramifications of what happened during those 5 years and how it affected the people that survived and that weren't snapped away, and how it affected the people that were snapped away. And I mean, they kind of touched on it in Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, but they also kind of just made it a joke. The blip was kind of a joke to them, during their little high school TV show or whatever. But yeah, this show really kind of showed really what happened, and that's obviously where the Flag Smashers came in, and that's really what Falcon and Winter Soldier was about, was those 5 years and the ramifications of it.
And this took place even before Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, technically, yes, I think. Yeah.
I think they said WandaVision was 3 weeks, then Falcon Winter Soldier was like 4 or 5 months, and then Far From Home was 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So part of me wants to go back and watch Spider-Man Far From Home and be like, was there something there? I'll kill myself doing that, but
there is so much to keep up with. I'm going through all of them again and watching everything. I'm not going very quickly. I think I'm only up to, I think we got through the first Guardians. I'm doing timeline order. We got through the first Guardians last week, so we'll probably get to Guardians 2 this week. But yeah, there's just a lot to keep up with. And as we add more and more characters and more movies, it's just only going to get crazier and crazier.
And then that one Army guy, he'll be the new Falcon, probably, they said. Like, that was the hint of like, keep the wings.
Yeah. That's what they do. They tease possibilities of characters that could stick around, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I mean, they obviously set it up for him. We'll see if that happens. I mean, they have so many other characters, who knows? But I will say, Marvel has done a really good job of taking actors early in their careers and setting them up for huge success. I mean, Sebastian Stan, when he started as Captain America in the first Captain America movie back in 2010 or whatever it was pretty much a no-name actor. I mean, he had some TV credits under his name, maybe a couple movies, but he even took that movie. He was just, Steve Rogers' best friend, Bucky Barnes. Like, he wasn't anything at that point. And now he's a leading man. I mean, he's in talk. They keep bringing him up to be a possible, Star Wars person. Like, they're really good about that, about, finding these actors, just like the guy from, as you mentioned, the new Falcon from the show, like, pretty much a no-name actor that they throw in here, and a couple years later he could be, leading a movie himself or a TV show himself. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. Anthony Mackie is kind of the same way. So they're going to keep doing that, and they're going to keep bringing in all these new characters and Young Avengers and Dark Avengers and whatever. It is a train rolling down the track, and it will not be stopped. Not even COVID is going to stop this thing.
No. I hope he's the new Falcon, not like Batman where we got teased for Robin and it never happens.
I knew that was going to come up. Yes. Yeah, we got the tease for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and we never got anything else from that. I was excited for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be Nightwing or whatever they were going to call him, but never got any more of those. And then we've rebooted Batman about 7 times since then.
And that's the last DC movie I've watched. Was that?
Did you watch the Snyder Cut?
I have not. I don't know if I should because I've not watched any others. I have not watched Superman. I haven't watched.
Don't worry about it. That's not worth your time.
I thought about when we got HBO Max. I was like, the first thing that pops up is.
It's better. It's better than the Joss Whedon version of the movie. But no, if you haven't watched the other ones, some of them are okay. The first Wonder Woman movie is really good. Man of Steel's not bad. Batman versus Superman's kind of a mess. Flash is all right. Aquaman's kind of hokey, but it's not terrible for DC standards. DC has been around from a movie standpoint longer just because they had those Batman movies and Superman movies. And then the Nolan Batman trilogy that really kick-started Superman movies in this generation. That and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Mm-hmm. Those really kick-started this whole superhero movement. But ever since those movies, DC is...
The Coach Steve Show is sponsored by the Launchpad Kickoff Tee. If you're a football coach out there, high school, college, NFL, doesn't matter, and you're looking for that edge for your special teams, for your kicker, for the kickoff, onsides, you guys need to go to launchpadkickoff.com. If you have a younger guy trying to develop the kicker, you want the ball to get to the end zone, you need to go to Launchpad Kickoff Tee. This tee gives a coach a strategic options for squib kicks, onsides, everything. It is proven that your kicker will kick off farther. It is legal for NCAA, for high school, okay? The Launchpad Kickoff Tee is a game changer. So if you go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS to use the code CSS, you can get a Launchpad Kickoff Tee for 10% off. So go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS. You can use the code CSS for the Coach Steve Show to get 10% off. Also, there's a bundle. You can get 1 for 10% off. You can go to 2 and get more % off, or there's an option to buy 4. If you click the option to buy the 4 kickoff tees, if you like it so much, when you use the code CSS, you'll get the 4th one free. So instead of paying full price for all 4, you'll get 3. So go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS, use the code CSS, get 10% off, buy 4 to get the 4th one free. This is a game changer, guys. It does more than just hold your balls. Go get the Launchpad Kickoff Tee today to give your kicker an edge. Are you guys tired of overpaying for your cable? Do you think, I need to go to the streaming side so I can save some money? Are you tired of taking out a small loan to pay for the cable just to watch things? There's so many streaming services. Do you not know or are having a hard time pick which streaming service? Well, lucky for you, the Coach Steve Show, which is on the Unhinged Sports Network, have a proud partnership with Fubo TV. Fubo TV has over 100 plus channels. They have NBC, CBS, Fox, ABC, ESPN, much more, without the hassle of that cable contract. If you don't believe me, go to the link in the bio. You can get a 7-day free trial today. So if you click on the link in the bio of the episode, you can get a free 7-day trial to support the Unhinged Sports Network, to support the Coach Steve Show podcast. Please use that link. Guys, it's time to cut the cord. Streaming services is where it's at. Get the internet, get the streaming service. You can, if you don't like it, get rid of it, but I think you're going to like it. That's why there's a 7-day free trial. Cut the cord. Quit taking out small loans to pay for this cable network. Please don't let these cable people trick you into getting into a 3-year contract, 2-year contract, and raising your rates. Go to Fubo TV. Best way to watch all the sports, any shows that you watch. So please support the show. Go click on the link now. Try it out for 7 days free. Cut the cord.
They really have. As I said, they've had a couple decent ones in there, but I mean, we'll see what happens with Black Adam and with The Rock. I mean, I know you're a big fan of his, and I hope the movie's halfway decent, but DC's just they can't keep up with what Marvel's doing. They're trying to do their own thing. They keep rebooting. They've rebooted Batman again. We're gonna get another. We got the Joker last year. We're gonna get a new Batman movie this year with Robert Pattinson. I mean, whatever. They're just gonna keep doing it. Marvel has maintained this thing where they are a cohesive machine that's just not gonna stop. And DC's just not that, and I think they eventually accepted that they're not going to be that, and now they don't care that they have 4 different Batman timelines going on. That's not of their. They don't care. Like, they're not trying to duplicate what Marvel's doing anymore. They're trying to do what they can do, what they know how to do, and we'll see if it works out. I mean, there have been some decent ones, but
isn't Michael Keaton coming back as Batman too?
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. Are they going to do their own multiverse?
Everybody wants to do a multiverse. That's what I think it's possible that this Snyder Cut is possibly setting up some sort of a multiverse, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's just a lot.
I know they brought in The Rock to save it. Like, that's what they keep talking about, was he's supposed to save.
I love The Rock. I know you do. I mean, I don't know that he's necessarily going to save anything. I mean, he can, even if the movie is the best thing DC's ever produced, I don't know that it saves much. I think it's just another movie, and they'll do another one after that, and it'll probably suck. That's just what they do. It's just not been consistent.
Well, if The Rock didn't have his own production company, he would have been in Marvel by now. That's the whole reason why he hasn't been in Marvel, because he wanted say in it with his production company, and Marvel laughed at him. No.
Yeah, they're not doing that. They're running their own ship over there. They'll let him direct it, but...
Well, he wants that $7 production to be involved, and they're like, no.
Oh, I know.
We're good. Like, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm excited just because that character is like the opposite of Superman. You just described it. Black Adam does the right thing, but he doesn't have a code. It's like...
Yeah.
I don't know. I might watch it because it's The Rock. But I don't even know. I'm not that excited for it just because it's DC. And then I saw the new trailer for Suicide Squad. I'm like, this is the DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy. And James Gunn directed it. So I'm like, this is their version.
Yeah.
Without now, if Chris Pratt shows
they're kind of rebooting that too. Because they've already done a Suicide Squad movie that wasn't very successful. So they're pretty much rebooting that again with Margot Robbie's back, and there might be like 1 or 2 other people that are back in it again, but it's pretty much a different cast.
And I think John Cena's going to save it.
I don't know.
I mean,
they're already doing a TV show with him, so
and he's already Fast and Furious now.
Yeah.
Now we're on the DC topic. There was something I was going to say, and I can't remember. Oh, the end of Falcon. Now we're going back to Marvel, the good side. No, I have DC movies, like Blu-rays, haven't even opened them yet. They're sitting there, and I haven't watched them. Now I have HBO. Now there's no excuse.
Yeah.
HBO, they tried. They said, hey, you said they released their movies on HBO. They were trying. They're like, we're going to be better than Marvel. And
they have the name recognition that's ahead of what Marvel was. Batman and Superman alone were bigger names than just about any property Marvel had, other than maybe Spider-Man. But the last decade plus, Marvel has just flat out dominated anything DC's done from the movie department.
The only ones
not even close.
The only ones that stick with me are the Batman ones, like Dark Knight and the Dark Knight.
Well, since the Dark Knight, and that's been more than 10 years ago. Because the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises was 2012, the same year as Avengers. Since then, it has been all Marvel.
Because the Dark Knight came out like 2008, around the same time as Iron Man, I think. Iron Man was coming out.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And I think Marvel saw how good the Dark Knight was. And they already had a plan, obviously. Like, they knew. But they saw how good that was, and were like, oh, we have to step it up.
The thing about the Dark Knight, though, is all 3 of those movies even, yes, they are superhero movies, but those are just, all three of those movies are just Christopher Nolan. I don't want to say masterpieces, but they're just like really good movies. Like it's not even, they don't, like The Dark Knight doesn't even feel like a superhero movie. It just feels like it's a crime thriller,
Mm-hmm.
that has a masked Cape Crusader in it. I mean, obviously it is a superhero movie, but it's not like what you see in Marvel with web slingers and a bunch of sci-fi shit. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of sci-fi to it. It's just a straightforward action heist thriller, crime thriller.
And it's Marvel seems brighter when they're filming it. There's more comedy as it's gone
Mhm.
along. DC wants to stay dark and
And
do their
that's
own
what
thing.
that was the problem with the original Justice League, the Joss Whedon version. So do you know the story behind that? Why they did this whole Justice League Snyder
Kind
Cut
of.
thing?
Just from reading it.
So okay, Justice League was the follow up to Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it was called. Zack Snyder did that movie. Zack Snyder did Superman, whatever the Superman movie was, Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first movie. That was the first DC movie after Dark Knight Rises,
Mm-hmm.
because they made this big deal. They had just relaunched Batman. Now they're bringing Superman into the fold. Christopher Nolan's producing these movies. Zack Snyder's directing it. So Zack Snyder directed Man of Steel, which wasn't bad. It really, compared to the rest of some of these other DC movies, was actually pretty solid. Then he did Batman versus Superman, where they bring in a new Batman, team him up with the Henry Cavill version of Superman, and go from there. I think we even met Wonder Woman in that movie. And then Zack Snyder, he did that movie, and then he was going to do Justice League, where they're going to bring in, they already have those two. They have Wonder Woman. Now we're going to bring in Aquaman and the Flash, and we're going to have a team-up movie like the Avengers. Well, Zack Snyder was doing that movie. Then his daughter died during production. So Zack Snyder left the movie. It was already mostly completed when this happened. So DC brings in Joss Whedon to do the rest of this movie. Joss Whedon had success doing the first Avengers movie. That was a well-received superhero team-up movie. As I said, most of this movie had been completed. It's pretty much all been shot. But they just needed somebody to come in and lead, the rest of the way throughout the post-production and, maybe a few little, finishing shots or whatever. So they bring in Joss Whedon to do this, and the tone that Joss Whedon brought to the movie was a lot similar to his Avengers movie. It had a lot of laughs. It was bright colors,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of jokes. It just wasn't very good. And that was not the vision that Zack Snyder had for this movie. Zack Snyder apparently never watched the Joss Whedon completed version of this movie. So fast forward in several years, there's this rumor circulating that Zack Snyder has a version of Justice League that he's pretty much finished, that he has available if somebody wants it. Well, then that went out. That became this whole Twitter movement of release the Snyder Cut.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes on for a year or so. And then HBO or Warner gets this new streaming service that they're trying to bolster and bring subscribers to. So they say, all right, Zack Snyder, we'll give you millions of dollars to finish your Justice League movie. So that's what he does. He does some reshoots on some scenes that he didn't finish, re-edits it together, and we get a 4-hour version of, or whatever it was, way too long version of this other movie that was a lot darker, had a lot less laughs, had a lot longer action sequences, slow motion sequences. There was stuff that was added to the movie, and it was a better overall quality product. It didn't need to be that long, but it was better. But it was also very different. It was just a very different tone, very different vibe. I watched the Joss Whedon version just a couple days before I watched the Zack Snyder version. Obviously, a lot of stuff's the same. It's the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
but you could just tell it was just different. There was a lot of one of the biggest problems, not a big problem, but one of the biggest critiques of the original version was that Henry Cavill was also filming a Mission Impossible movie at the same time that they were doing some of these reshoots for Superman. And in the Mission Impossible movie, he had a mustache. And there was some sort of thing where they wouldn't let him shave the mustache because he needed it for Mission Impossible. So on some of these scenes in the original version of Justice League, it is very clear that they had to go in there in post-production and remove this mustache. Like, it's awful. Like, there are some shots that are just abundantly clear that he has a mustache and they've edited it out. Like, it was just stuff like that. It was just stupid, and it just wasn't very good. So this new one was a lot, I say new, this second version of it was a lot darker, a lot less laughs, didn't feel like the Avengers. So that was kind of the difference between, you know, as you mentioned, why Marvel is a lot brighter, and, you know, that's part of why is because Joss Whedon was doing that, and that's not what they wanted for this version of Justice League.
Well, I'm not watching it now. It's too dark. No, I want to. I want to be a part of it.
It's not bad. If I were you, if you wanted to watch it, I don't think you need to watch all of the movies. I would watch Man of Steel, and I would watch Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, and Batman versus Superman. Two of those three are actually pretty decent. One of them is not very good. Wonder Woman is actually really good. And then I would watch, if you want to watch both versions of this movie, you can, just to compare them. But if you're only going to watch one, I'd watch the second. I'd watch the full 4-hour ridiculous version because it is the better one. But
I think that's what held me back was not having HBO. Now that I have it, HBO Max, like, can do it.
It's all there.
And because Loki's not coming out until June.
Don't go into it expecting something that's going to compare to Marvel movies. They're just not at that level. Some of them are. As I said, Wonder Woman is really good. Wonder Woman is honestly one of the best superhero. Wonder Woman is the single best thing DC has done probably since The Dark Knight. Maybe The Dark Knight Rises. But it's definitely there. But the rest of them, as I said, the Flash is all right. I have some critiques about the Flash too, but it's not bad. But anyway, I've been rambling on way too long about DC movies. So,
I know nothing about
this is your show. What do you want to talk about?
To educate me on DC, because I have not watched one of them since The Dark Knight Rises.
As I said, you haven't missed much. There's only been a few of them. There's been Man of Steel. There was Batman versus Superman. There was 2 versions of Justice League. There's been 2 Wonder Woman movies. There's been Flash, and there's been Aquaman, and then I guess Joker. Well, and Suicide Squad. But they're not all necessarily tied to one another. So
I think that's why
it's not the DC thing or it's not like the Marvel thing. Marvel is its own animal. Marvel has, for better or worse, ruined how we view franchises, because they have been so good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to think, Marvel is now going over 20 plus movies, plus now TV shows, that all these things are so well intertwined. Like, there's no hiccups. I mean, they've got to the point now where they've basically said that some of those Netflix shows aren't canon, and like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't really canon to what they're doing. But all of these movies, from Iron Man up until where we are now, plus all these TV shows, now you're going to start incorporating like Deadpool and eventually the X-Men. Like, they're all tied into one another. And I think personally that's the most incredible thing about it. Some of these movies are really good. Some of these movies are just okay. But it's incredible what they've been able to do. And that has ruined how we view other franchises. I think that's ruined what happened with Star Wars. I'm not going to try to defend how Star Wars ended, because that sequel trilogy wasn't great. It had its ups and downs, But I honestly think that part of the reason why we were so negative towards those movies was because we've been so used to how Marvel has done it
Mm-hmm.
and how it's been so cohesive. And then you bring in like this whole like we've talked about, like the Star Wars thing. You bring in one director to do the first movie, and then another director to do the second movie, and then another, and then they got original guy to do the third one. Like it was just a mess, like how they did that linearly. And DC's the same way. DC tried to do what Marvel is doing, but they realized that they just can't. They just can't do that. So now they're okay with having multiple storylines. They're not even going to try to say they're tied together. Like they're not going to come out and say that the Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie is going to be in some parallel universe to, you know, Ben Affleck's Batman. Like they're not even going to attempt that. But so they've just given up on that. But they know they have these properties and people are going to go to these movies. So they're just going to keep doing it. They're not going to do that. We just have to accept that Marvel is going to be a unicorn when it comes to how all these, you know, franchises tie together. That's just not something that other studios are going to do. They can't do it that well.
No. And then Disney is going to try with Star Wars with those TV shows. They're going to try.
I mean, yeah. Well, the thing with Star Wars is that Star Wars will always be a universe. Like they're not going, yes, you can have complaints about how a story unfolded, but Star Wars is always going to be just one universe. Mm-hmm. They're not going to try and say that this story, especially as we get to movies and TV shows. Now there are saying things about certain books and certain comics aren't part of the Star Wars canon, but when it comes to the greater Star Wars movies and these TV shows, they're all going to be the same universe. There's not going to be some sort of multiverse. They're not going to try to argue that the Bad Batch is not in the same universe as Phantom Menace. Like they're just the same thing. They're not all going to intertwine, but they're all going to be part of the same universe.
Right.
You know, so it's similar, but it's a little different than what Marvel's doing.
And I feel like Star Wars will never be able to leave the Skywalker thing. I know they're trying, but you can't. I don't think you can.
I mean, I think eventually they will. They've said they're going to. I have really yet to see proof of that. Because I thought the Mandalorian we were maybe going to get away from that, but of course then he showed up again. I'm not trying to bash on Star Wars because I thought that was fine, but yeah, as you said, I think eventually they're going to try to get away from that because there's so much out there, other stories to tell in this universe but we keep focusing on this one family and, you know, these 4 or 5 central characters, but whatever.
But they didn't write that to do this later on. George Lucas didn't make those movies to be like, this is
no,
like Marvel when they started it probably didn't know this is where they end up, but they kind of knew we could go on this.
But Marvel is basing everything they're doing off of comic books.
As you guys know, the Coach Steve Show is also brought to you by the Unhinged Sports Network. The Unhinged Sports Network is a 24-hour 7 days a week nonstop playing radio podcast about any sport that you guys can imagine. They have a proud partnership with Fanatics. So if you go to the link in the description, go to Fanatics, use that link, and go get some gear to support the Coach Steve Show and to support the Unhinged Sports Network. They have deals all the way up to 70% off. They have deals for free shipping, and they have every single sports team you could think of. Your college team is going to be on there. Your professional team is going to be on there. They have good deals on jerseys, T-shirts, hats, socks, anything you want. So please use the link in the description to go to fanatics.com. Save big on your team's gear to help support the Unhinged Sports Networks and to support the coach.
We have decades worth of comic book material. Now they're mixing and matching storylines, and they're doing some things on their own. They're taking some creative liberties with some characters and some stories, but everything Marvel is doing is based off of a comic book. George Lucas wrote a script for a space opera, a space odyssey movie that he called Star Wars. As he was writing this one movie, he realized, there might be a little bit more to this that we can do. So he wrote a second movie and a third movie. And then they just kind of kept going off of that. There's not some original story. It's not like Game of Thrones where there's these books that they're going off of, and then eventually they don't have the books, and that's its own thing. Like Lord of the Rings, like there's these other things that have original source material that they're pulling from. Star Wars is everything's just they're making it up. I
Right.
mean, when Ryan Johnson or Taika Waititi start their own Star Wars movie or trilogy or series or whatever they're doing, they're creating their own. I mean, they're within the Star Wars universe. They are, under the creative direction of Kathleen Kennedy, who's running the studio as of today, I still believe. So, she's obviously has a say in it, but they're not pulling from comic books or something where they're trying to, stick to this, this storyline like Marvel is.
That's true. So that's why I'm afraid of Star Wars. I mean, I think the Obi-Wan one they're coming out with, I think will be good.
I'm
That'll be
looking forward to that.
That'll be a nice filler of like, okay, what happened here to here? We kind of got that with Rogue One, but we need to see what happened. The rest of it, I don't know how that's going to look.
We've talked about this. I'm not like the biggest Star Wars fan. I've seen everything. I've seen all the movies. I watched both seasons of The Mandalorian. I've not seen all the animated shows, Clone Wars and that stuff. For the most part, I'll be honest, Star Wars really hasn't let me down that much. The prequel trilogy, people say it's pretty bad, and it is. But when the Phantom Menace came out, like we were the target audience for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that movie was. You can say what you want about it being totally different, but it was about a kid who was racing pods, and that was like we wanted to be Anakin Skywalker,
right?
Our generation. I mean, we had the video games, we had all the toys. Like that was perfect for me. Like that was honestly one of my favorite movies as a kid. I watched it all the time. Now reviewing it, I realized it's not all that good, and the second one's terrible. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I just don't have like a personal attachment to Star Wars. I thought the sequel trilogy was fine. I thought that they obviously had some issues when putting it together, and we've talked about that. We've beat that horse to the ground at this point, so I'm not going to go on that anymore. But I thought it was fine. So I don't know. I trust them. I heard at one point there was a rumor that not Jon Favreau. Well, maybe Jon Favreau, but Kevin Feige might take over Star Wars.
I heard that.
If that happens, obviously things are going to be a little different, but at that point, Marvel could take a hit. But yes, that's the one thing that Star Wars needs to be better about is trying to be a little more cohesive.
I heard
because that was the biggest issue with the sequel trilogy.
Well, like we said before, and we'll move on. They're good movies. They just weren't right for what they were trying to do.
I've said this on the show, and I've said this other time, and I will die on this hill. I think The Last Jedi is a fantastic movie. Maybe one of the best movies in all of the Star Wars universe. I just don't think it fit very well in the Star Wars universe, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that does, but like that's just honestly how I feel about it. I think it was a really damn good movie. It just had a lot of issues with the cohesiveness, and then it looks even worse after they bring out The Rise of Skywalker. They pretty much undo everything that Rian Johnson did in that movie. So anyway, that's my Star Wars tangent. I didn't think I was going to go on that today.
Well, here we are. And then Feige might take over, but then I also heard...
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but...
I think it's just...
I think Favreau could. I wouldn't be shocked if Favreau takes more of a role in that.
I'd be fine with that.
Because The Mandalorian has been a huge success for them. And if Kathy Kennedy wants to step down, which it wouldn't shock me if she did, I could totally see Favreau doing it. I don't know if that's the role he wants to play or not. Because I think Favreau likes being in front of the camera, and he likes being a little more involved in, the directing and everything. If he takes over that role, he's going to be more involved in the heavy lifting of the greater picture. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Jon
And
Favreau is responsible for some of my all-time favorite movies. So he directed Elf,
mhm.
which is one of my all-time favorite movies. He was responsible for starting the MCU with Iron Man. He did The Jungle Book, which was a really good remake. Probably the best live-action remake that Disney has done. And I know it wasn't great. I still love The Lion King, and he did that too. So, in my book, Jon Favreau can't do wrong.
Well, and he's helped out with Marvel. There's been movies where he's
Yeah,
helped them out.
yep. He's been a producer for them, and he still acts in them. He's in. I'm sure he's going to be in the new Spider-Man movie, and
I think it's
I
rumored
love
that
Jon Favreau.
it's rumored he'll be in there.
I'm sure he will be. He's
And then
Happy Hogan.
I
He
heard
has to
that
be.
Sebastian Stan could play Luke Skywalker if they choose to go that route.
I've heard that
Look
too.
alike.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for old Mark Hamill to give the thumbs up.
I don't want to revisit that anymore. I want to be done with Luke Skywalker. And I have nothing against the character. We've already talked about it on here. I didn't want that to be how The Mandalorian ended. Not that I am upset about it. I didn't want that. Because now it's going to look weird if you're watching that from the end of season 2. And I'm not saying this is the direction they go. But if they bring in Sebastian Stan to be the new Luke Skywalker, and he does appear in Mandalorian season 3, he's going to look nothing like Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2. It's just, I don't know.
Well,
move on. I'm just going to.
Well, then, real quick, then what happened to Baby Yoda when you find old man Luke Skywalker? Like, where did that go?
Know.
That's
I don't know.
That's the problem when you've got 4 people making decisions.
I trust that they'll figure it out. That is above my pay grade. I trust them.
You're going to see a ring open up, and Benedict Cumberbatch will walk out.
Stop it! If you say Benedict Cumberbatch one more time, I'm going to come through the screen and slap you.
But they do need to make a season 5 Sherlock. I think me and Brad talked about that on Sunday. That needs to happen.
What are your top 5 favorite Benedict Cumberbatch movies?
I love The Imitation Game.
Said no one ever. Okay.
I love that movie. I don't know why. Movies, I've not watched a lot of movies with him. I love Doctor Strange. I loved him in Infinity War. He just did there was a TV show that he did just one season. It was fantastic acting. He plays a drug addict and it makes you uncomfortable. I can't remember what it's called. It's on Amazon for free. Fantastic. Fantastic acting. I don't know. Imitation Game was one of my favorites, I think, because I like the World War II stuff.
That's fair. It is a good movie. I was giving you shit.
I'm still going to hold on to that WandaVision thing of why. But
we don't need to talk about WandaVision anymore.
Well, they are done filming, and they said, Olsen said it does have a horror vibe, and it's bonkers.
Yeah. You still have Steve, there are several movies that are coming out before we get Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Well, I'm trying to hurry this along, and then I put you on the Star Wars tangent, and I didn't mean to.
Okay.
What do you think Falcon and the Winter Soldier, now Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which I love Sam Wilson being Captain America. Love it, and I love there's going to be a Captain America 4. Yep. Steve Rogers needs to come off the moon and come down.
That's funny. I like that bit.
He's with
Nick Fury.
Yeah, he's with Nick Fury. It's fine.
Yeah, on that ship somewhere. Yeah,
it's fine. I don't know what they're going to lead into. I saw at the end, Carter says she's the power broker. She's going to sell intelligence. They're saying it's going to go into Secret Invasion. That it's a scroll, and that's kind of how this sets up Secret Invasion. Well, I mean, at this point, we don't know things, but it's pretty easy for us to, put pieces together what movies are going to be associated with what TV shows. It's obviously going to have nothing to do with Eternals. Mm-hmm. It's not going to have anything to do with
probably Guardians. I mean, there's certain movies are going to take place in certain spaces. So, yeah, I mean, Secret Invasion makes a lot of sense just based on the characters that are involved. Um, Armor Wars, I think, is the other one that's probably going to lead into. That's going to be the Don Cheadle one, another TV show. I can't even keep track. There's so much Marvel and Star Wars properties coming out here in the next 3 years. I don't know what they're doing when, but I just know we're getting a lot of it.
That's all I tried to
It's
do.
going to feed into something.
That's all I tried to do at the end was, obviously we knew WandaVision because they said it, but it made sense. This one, I was like, okay, what's this going to lead into? And at the end of it, I didn't even know. The only thing I could think of was maybe Armor Wars. Then they came out and said it could be Secret Invasion.
I think it could potentially be both to some degree, for sure. I don't think we necessarily have to limit it to just one. Let's see. What do we have coming up? We know we have Black Widow, Shang-Chi, which I know you said you wanted to talk about a little bit, and Eternals, and then Spider-Man. So we know there will be some connection to Black Widow. I doubt there's any connection to Shang-Chi. Nothing with Eternals. Spider-Man, there might be some sort of connection there. We know Doctor Strange is going to have a connection to WandaVision.
Spider-Man will have a connection to Doctor Strange.
And Spider-Man, yeah. Thor will be
its own
Thor
thing.
and the Guardians kind of out on their own. Black Panther. I mean, yeah. So I think you're probably looking at, let's see, here are the TV shows. Secret Invasion and Armor Wars, I would guess, are probably the most likely to have tie-ins to Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, there's going to be some sort of tie-in to everything. I mean, that's the beauty of what the MCU does. But just in terms of what we know is coming up, that's probably where we're at.
But it was a nice cliffhanger. I didn't see that coming. I mean, when she said she was the power broker, in my mind, I was like, oh, she'll be fine. And then that was a nice cliffhanger.
No, I agree. She's, she'll be involved in something. I liked what they did with that for sure.
Yeah, I think the only ones I don't know was the 10 Rings movie, because Brad and Nathan asked me, and all I knew was I asked them, I said, do you remember Iron Man 3 where they faked the Mandarin? Yeah. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I don't know a ton. Yes, the Mandarin is going to be involved in this. I don't know if it's supposed to be a reboot of the Mandarin, or if it's supposed to be the actual Mandarin, whereas what we saw in Iron Man 3 was just kind of a joke. I don't know. But yes, this movie will be tied to the Mandarin. I'm curious as to how else it's going to tie to the rest of it. Not to say that it obviously it will, but it's also its own standalone movie, so it's not exactly going to be. I'm looking at the cast list that's on Wikipedia. There's nobody here that is from a pre-existing property. It's probably going to have a very different vibe to the rest of the movies, but obviously it will still be tied in because it's part of the universe. So I thought the trailer looked pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest, I just thought it looked like a really good action flick. I mean, just a different style of movie that we've seen in the MCU, but that's what they're good at. We've talked about the connecting all these movies together, but there's just different genres of movies inside the universes. We have spy thrillers, we have comedies, we have time travel movies, we have space epics. This is going to be a karate movie. That's awesome. The fact that they can just do so many different things. I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to this. Other than that, I don't know a ton about it, and I think that's intentional. I don't think they're giving us a ton of information on it. So I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Black Widow. I think I'm looking forward most to Eternals of any of them. Eternals is directed by Chloe Zhao, who just won Best Picture, Best Director at the Oscars for Nomadland. So, I mean, not to say that that's a singular reason as to why I should anticipate the movie, but I have to think like I just have to assume that it's going to be pretty fantastic. Is that Marvel's next shot at a Best Picture? I don't know, maybe, but she just freaking won this year for another movie, so it's certainly on the table. But if I was going to pick any of them, I'm obviously excited for Spider-Man too. So that's probably just because of what I know about that movie. But of the other three, I think I'm most excited for Eternals.
I'm excited.
And that one's going to have a totally different, that's a totally different world than the rest of these. But just that cast and knowing that Chloe Zhao's directing it, I'm excited for that movie.
I'm excited for it. They've talked about how like they know about the Avengers and they're just kind of out there. They kind of know what's going on. That's what Thanos was, I think.
Did I tell you what I had heard about Eternals? So I was listening to somebody's show. I think it was, I don't know if you're familiar with John Campea. He's just a movie pundit. I was listening to him talk one day, and he said that he had heard from a couple different people close to Marvel or within Marvel that they have all said that Eternals is the best thing they've done.
Wow.
Take it for what it's worth. Could just be two people, talking a movie up. I don't know. But if that's, I don't know. I'm really excited for that movie. I think that movie is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And not that I'm not excited for Shang-Chi or Black Widow or even Spider-Man, but like that is the Marvel movie that I think I'm most anticipating. Now, even more so, knowing that Chloe Zhao just freaking won a Best Picture and a Best Director Oscar. Like that's just fantastic. So,
well, it's going to open a door for something else. It's going to get away from what we've been watching.
Yep.
And probably tie into, I'm sure it's going to tie into Guardians or Thor at some point because they're out in space somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to, it will for sure. Because they're Celestials, which is what Star-Lord's dad was. Kurt Russell, as we already talked about, Santa Claus. He was also one of those things. So that, I'm sure there will be some sort of tie into that. But yeah, that one comes out in November. So Black Widow in July, Shang-Chi in September, Eternals November, Spider-Man December, and then Doctor Strange next March. And then from a TV show perspective, we have Loki in June. So Loki comes out first before Black Widow. And then What If, which is, it's related, but it's not necessarily going to tie into the storyline. And then Miss Marvel and Hawkeye are also supposed to come out sometime late 2021. So just between now and the end of 2021, we are still scheduled to get 4 movies, and 3 TV shows that are actually part of the timeline, plus What If. So there's still plenty more Marvel content to come. It is only April. I should say it's already April.
Yeah.
We're already 4 months into this year. So in the next 8 months, we're getting all of that.
A year ago, we had nothing.
Exactly. A year ago today, we were all confused and dreading what was about to come. And now here we are. I'm about to go back to the movie theater not for the first time. I've been a couple times, but I guess it still won't be till freaking July, but I cannot wait. I will be there on opening night to watch Black Widow, and I am super excited.
I'm excited for Loki because I think watching that trailer,
I am too.
I think that's what's going to open up the multiverse. That right there.
Yeah.
It's not.
I think the multiverse has already been opened somewhere. I think we just haven't learned about it yet.
Because the previous trailers, they didn't tell you what Owen Wilson and them were really about. It was just more about Loki. You're going to work for us. Now you finally found out they like guard the timeline. So they've been watching this and something happened.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if Loki makes an appearance in a movie. I know they're talking about Loki season 2, so maybe he never does.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that. You'd have to think that he's going to be involved in Thor, but who knows? Maybe he's not. Maybe they are really giving him his own thing, and who knows?
I'm excited for it because I want to see what happens.
Too.
Because if that really opens up the door for the Doctor Strange movie and even Spider-Man, probably Spider-Man first. If that opens up for Spider-Man, maybe that will explain a lot. I'm ready to see that. And then Russell Crowe as Zeus, apparently, in Thor.
I saw that. That Thor cast is like, that's a long list of people that are going to be involved in this movie. It's incredible.
Isn't Christian Bale the villain?
Yep, Christian Bale's in it. Let me just pull it up here.
McCarthy was in it with Matt Damon.
We got Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman, Chris Pratt. We knew Christian Bale. So the Avengers. So Mantis, Drax, Nebula. Jeff Goldblum is making his appearance again. Matt Damon, Sam Neill, Luke Hemsworth are all going to reprise their roles from the original one. Melissa McCarthy supposed to be in it, as well as her husband, Ben Falcone, and Russell Crowe. So, yeah, I mean, it's... I mean, they're probably going to be cameos. I don't know that Russell Crowe is going to have a huge role in that movie, but, yeah. I'm excited for that one, too.
That's a huge cast. Spider-Man's a huge cast.
All right, let me ask you this. So, I have the list pulled up in front of me. I don't know if you have it or can get it handy, but top 5 Marvel products, whatever, that we know are coming. What's your top 5 most anticipated? Well, obviously, I know your number 1 is Doctor Strange. What are your other 4?
I'm really excited for Loki after seeing these trailers. Okay. I'm really excited for that one.
Okay.
I'm excited for Eternals. We've kept the more I look at it. Spider-Man, and then Black Widow. Black Widow I was really high on, but the longer we wait, the more I'm like, nope, I don't. I have to put it up there because of David Harbour. Not even for Scarlett Johansson, it's for David Harbour at this point.
I'm excited for Florence Pugh. I would say Eternals and Thor.
Well, is Thor coming out this year or next year?
No, I was thinking just in general.
Oh, like, I could take Thor and put that above Black Widow.
I was talking like things we know that are coming, not necessarily this year.
Oh, yeah, put Thor
you have
up there.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor, Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, Ant-Man, Guardians 3. We know Fantastic Four is coming. We don't really know much about it. We don't know who's in it, but
I almost take Thor and put that above Black Widow. Like, I'm excited for those more than...
I get that. I mean, I'm excited for Black Widow just because it's a Marvel movie that's going to be in the theaters here in a couple months. Yeah. That's the reason I'm excited about Black Widow. I think it has a potential to be a good movie. I think it has a potential also to be a bad movie. I heard somebody on a podcast, I think it was The Big Picture, I was listening to it, and they were talking about Black Widow, and they made a comment like, if Black Widow was good, they would have already dropped it onto Disney Plus by now, and I don't buy that. I don't buy that logic. I think if Black Widow was bad, if they knew they had a bad movie, I think they would have dropped it onto Disney Plus by now. I don't know. The way they said it was just very backwards of how I expected it to be.
You could argue both. You could be like, it's so good that we really want it to be in movie theaters. Like, it's that good. We want you to see it. Or it could be it's bad and we're afraid to show it. But I don't think Marvel is scared of that. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. The theory that I'm sticking to with Black Widow is, well, I don't know. I've read a few things and heard a few things. One theory I saw is that Scarlett like her character and Florence Pugh's character at some point like switch. Have you seen this or heard this anywhere?
I think I did but what happens to her? She's Black Widow's.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like at some point they like switch body. I don't know. Switch faces.
Is that why her hair changed?
Yes. That's part of the theory that I had seen. I don't know that I really subscribe to that theory, but I've heard it. Regardless, I do believe that Florence Pugh's character will have a role in the future of the MCU.
What if it was actually
she'll take over the Black Panther role? That's the thing. I don't know. Maybe she's the one that technically fell off.
And Black Widow is still out there. Her and David Harbour are somewhere.
I don't know.
In Stranger Things, they're in Russia somewhere.
Okay. All right, Millie Bobby Brown. Calm down.
That is
either way. I'm just excited. Even if I'm not as excited for Black Widow as a standalone story. I'm just excited that it's a Marvel product that's finally going to be in the theaters here in a couple months, and I can actually go to it, and we can just move on with our lives. Because once that starts, then we're going to get 4 movies after that in the span of 6 months: July, September, November, and December. So bring it on.
They're going to make a lot of money.
They're hoping. They're hoping people are going to be going back to theaters. So have you been to a theater at all during this whole thing?
No, nope. Nothing.
Yeah.
One, nothing intrigued me. Two, I just never know.
Well, yeah.
Nothing.
Well, even there, they weren't even open for a while, right?
Yeah, I don't know when they technically have opened.
Yeah. I think I've gone 3 times. No, I've gone 4 times since, 4 times in the last year, basically.
Black
I went
Widow.
once.
I'll probably buy it on Disney Plus, to be honest.
I'll go to the theater.
Doctor Strange, I'll be in the theater.
I can pay $6 to go to the theater to see it, or I can pay $30 to watch it at home. I'd rather pay even the $10 to watch it at a theater. Either way, I'm excited for it. So.
Well, I guess by then I'll be vaccinated. I already have I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, you'll be vaccinated by then for sure.
I have the antibodies too, so it's I'm double protected.
You are double protected, absolutely.
And I have a theory. We'll see Tony Stark in Black Widow. Maybe that's why they're waiting so long.
That could be.
I think he'll be somewhere.
He wouldn't be dead at that point.
No, I think he'll be somewhere at the beginning.
It could be. I could see it.
And because it was already rumored that he was in it, like just for a quick second.
I could see it.
Because at one point his name was in the cast, and then it was gone.
Well, yeah, you can't really trust that shit. Especially like Google. Google's bad. Like Google will populate something just because it becomes popular.
Yeah.
And like it's just, you can't trust anything that comes. You can't trust any sort of cast list rumor that pops up on Google. So I don't know. It's possible.
I don't know. I don't know. Now you got me thinking what I'm going to research tomorrow when I get my shot is Black Widow really dead? Was that her sister just taking her place this entire
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link to what I saw. I don't remember where. I think I know where it was. I think it was Film Theory. But I'll find it. I'll shoot you the link. You can watch it tomorrow.
The only thing I've ever seen was about her armor. So they've talked about how something happened to her sister because she was wearing the armor in Infinity War.
Yeah, that could be.
But then they're on the run for 2 years because Sam said that in Falcon. He was like, we were on the run for 2 years.
Yeah, could be.
That's a long time between Civil War and Infinity War. 2 years that goes by.
I know.
Steve Rogers gets a beard. Now he lives on the moon with Skrulls.
There's a lot there.
Now, if he doesn't show up in Captain America 4, which I don't know how that's going to tie in, that's a movie they just kind of said, we're going to do.
Yeah.
Maybe because Falcon Winter Soldier did so well, they're like, let's make a movie.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
But that suit is better than Steve Rogers. That suit was.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just need that suit. I need that Doctor Strange hat that Feige was wearing.
Sure you can buy it somewhere.
I have a bad feeling Benedict Cumberbatch will be killed off here soon.
Probably.
Because they said during Infinity War he only had like a year or 2 left on his contract with Marvel.
I wouldn't trust that yet.
Sherlock Holmes 5, season 5.
Okay. All right. You've reached your Benedict Cumberbatch limit for the night.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
I got excited when they said they were done filming because I got worried because back in January it was shut down. And then they were able to finish it.
Yeah.
Then you get the horror vibe. And then they just said they spotted the 2 kids on set from WandaVision.
Yeah.
So these movies are just going to be huge.
You are deep into the Doctor Strange theories.
I backed off during Falcon because I could just shut my brain off. I literally thought I was watching with the Winter Soldier at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when they got to the fight scenes, I was like, oh, this is Civil War. They look like Civil War. I was like, I could just shut my brain off. I'm good. And then I read there's going to be a Lord of the Rings TV show that cost almost $500 million. It's a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to be about.
I don't know.
They waited too long. I almost don't even care. I told Brad on Sunday on the podcast, I was like, it needs to be like a 5-minute show. Why don't you guys just take the Eagles and fly it to the place to drop the ring in? Like when they
should be a writer.
When they make this TV show, that needs to be one of the references. Guys, remember when those Eagles came? Why don't we just take those fucking birds?
Oh man, good stuff.
I don't know if I had any other questions. I'm really excited for Loki just because of that trailer. Owen Wilson and that trailer. And now that I know some of the story, I'm like, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, I'm not so excited for.
You'll get excited when you start seeing more, I promise.
I think it's done filming, actually.
I think so.
Miss Marvel, I don't know what that one's about. That one, I think, is based off almost the video game, actually. It's like almost the same character.
Could be. I'm not sure.
That I haven't played since January.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, it could be.
It is. It looks like her. Like this she's like a rubber band where the arms can fling out and become huge fists and like blast people. It looks like the suit and everything looks like when they showed it. I was like, oh, this is off the video game, or the video game is off of this.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we have Miss Hulk. That's supposed to be somewhere.
There's a lot. We've talked about it. There's a lot.
I wish he had his own Hulk movie, but Mr. Ruffalo.
Yeah, that's probably not happening.
Oh, and then real quick, the deal, Sony and Disney, they're going to release Spider-Man in a couple years on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm not sure what'll happen there. They had the big report that they were going to, Sony's partnering with Netflix, put all their movies onto there after the window, and now they're going to go to Disney Plus after that. So, I don't know. Sony's in a weird spot because I think they're probably going to be having to do something with their properties eventually, but this is just one way to kind of make some money back with it. But because me and Brad wants to talk Marvel all the time, but he wasn't able to watch Falcon the Winter Soldier. So that's why the last podcast we did was just, if you know who Tim Dillon is, it's just Tim Dillon stuff. It's just over and over. I said to him, it's like Sony's feet are like the stuff is crumbling underneath their feet right now because Tom Holland is huge, Spider-Man is huge. They're going to have to give it up. They're going to have to hand it over, or Disney's just going to buy Sony. That.
Disney will just buy Sony.
That's all they have.
Disney will just buy them. They're going to buy Sony.
Might. It wouldn't shock me.
Before we hop off, when's Jungle Cruise coming? Was that?
It is this summer sometime. I don't know. I'm very excited for that movie, though.
I was thinking back to our original podcast at the beginning. I'm like, we talked about the Jungle Cruise. That's one I'm looking.
I'm excited for that. July 30th. July 30th.
And Fast Furious 9's coming out.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I hope Elon Musk is in it.
Cruise.
I hope Elon Musk is in it when they go to space.
Okay. It's going to be on SNL.
I can't wait for him to go on there and tell everybody how stupid they are and how much smarter he is. Hop into a spacecraft and just leave.
Yeah.
I try to listen to him and Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk, I just can't. Because he pauses so long on what he's going to say because he's like, what do you mean? Like, you don't know this?
Yeah.
Like, if you ever listen to, like, traffic in LA, I was going to drill a hole in the roads and that helps traffic. And Rogan's like, what do you mean that's going to help traffic? Like, can you explain that? And like, who do you have to go to drill these holes? And he goes, what do you mean? I'm going to go drill the holes. What do you mean? And Rogan's like, no, like, who do you have to go to the city? And he goes, what do you mean? Just drill the holes. And he goes, but how's that going to help? He goes, what do you mean? You just go drill the holes and that's going to help traffic. It's just like, I can't.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Was there anything else before we go to bed like old men?
Not for me. I think I
And I
covered everything.
and I get my vaccine. I'm nervous for that shot.
You'll be fine. I didn't even feel it.
Well, I've had COVID, so I've heard it's flip flopped where the first shot is the one that,
Hmm. It could be. Be prepared. Have your Gatorade ready.
and I don't like when it said you might get Pfizer, you might get Moderna, whichever one we have.
At least it's something.
I tried the Johnson Johnson, even though it's canceled, they still won't let me do it. I'm like, come on, just.
You'll be fine. Just be prepared.
I don't think there was anything else. So now it's nothing until Loki.
If there is, we can hop on and chat whenever you want. But yeah, I think Loki's the next thing. That's not till June, so I'm sure something will come up. We'll want to chat.
Yeah, all right. Well, Geek Corner, blouses.